Robert Tobias. Whether it is the Ten Commandments, the teachings of Jesus Christ, Buddha, or Muhammad, all major religions have a code of moral conduct. What exactly is Scientology's code of moral conduct for its followers? Okay, there's two answers to this question because in the early days, in the early 50s actually, L. Ron Hubbard wrote something called the Code of Honor. And then years later, in 1980, after the whole GO and the Guardian's Office Snow White program fiasco with Scientologists, including his wife, in jail or going to jail, being indicted, Hubbard wrote a book called The Way to Happiness, which he labeled a common sense guide to moral principles and sort of a secular moral code that didn't rely on anything religious in nature in order to back it up. And both of these are used. One of them is sort of broadly used or disseminated or talked about, passed out to the public. That's the Way to Happiness. It's easy to find. There's even a whole foundation that does nothing but get people to donate money to distribute custom-made copies of the Way to Happiness pamphlets out to people. So you can get one for your business, and it has your logo and picture of your business or something. You can pass these things out. And the Way to Happiness all by itself, in and of itself, is perfectly fine. There's really nothing horrible and awful in it. It has very common sense principles like don't kill or don't murder. Rather, don't engage in theft. Don't drink to excess. Take care of your teeth and your body. Do unto others as you'd have them do unto you, but don't do unto others as you don't want them to do to you. I mean, both of those versions of the Golden Rule are in there, and there's a lot of different things. Support a government, that is run for and by the people. I mean, again, pretty common sense stuff. And that's the moral code most Scientologists would tell you immediately is their moral code and what they, promulgate and promote and talk about. The Code of Honor is a much deeper thing, and that is something that not every Scientologist follows, but they kind of try to. And they talk about it in terms of how it's a higher level of ethics, and it's tougher to deal with. And let me give you a couple points of it, because it's really not talked about very much. It's actually I'm reading here from the Scientology website. You can find it there. And Hubbard says that he tells Scientologists, this was written in 1954, and he said, no one expects the Code of Honor to be closely and tightly followed. An ethical code cannot be enforced. Yeah, right. They do a lot of enforcement of this in Scientology. There's a lot of codes in Scientology. There's an auditor's code, code of a Sea Org member, code of a supervisor. I mean, there's lots of these little ethical codes in Scientology for various functions. The Code of Honor is the one that they will use. They'll haul this thing out when you're in ethics trouble, and they'll run you through it and make you write overts and withholds against this code, times that you failed to follow it, the specifics with time, place, form, and event of each incident or time that you failed to uphold the principles. So what are the principles? Well, let's see. Number one, never desert a comrade in need, in danger, or in trouble. Now, of course, Scientology disconnection violates this point 100% of the time. Again, this is just more of the hypocrisy of Scientology, which I thought you might find interesting. Here's another one, too. Never withdraw allegiance once granted. Now, that's ridiculous because, of course, your allegiance is yours to withdraw whenever you want. And it's hardly a code of honor to withdraw allegiance once granted if the person you've sworn allegiance to changes and goes off the rails or becomes insane or starts doing things that you can't morally agree with, then it's very much part of your own integrity to withdraw your allegiance to them. That's exactly what happens with Scientologists who find out how awful and crappy the church actually is. So that one's a little bit silly to live with. 3, never desert a group to which you owe your support. Well, on the surface that's fine, but again, what happens when the group withdraws its support to you? It's a bit of a two-way street. So sure, I'll support a group that supports me and to which I owe my support. I don't know what it would be that would cause me to owe my support to a group. But if I did, sure, I'd keep that up, as so long as I could agree with the principles and ideals of the group and what it's actually doing in the real world. Never disparage yourself or minimize your strength or power. You know, little nice motivational business there. Never need praise, approval, or sympathy. This is a big one in Scientology, not needing to be praised or admired, which really means that this is what you tell yourself when you've been working your ass off for 3 straight days and nobody cares or gives you any validation or acknowledgement. You sort of pull this out and look at it and go, well, you know, I don't need acknowledgement. Anyway, there's a whole bunch of other points here on this. There's actually, I think it goes down to 15 points. Yeah, don't desire to be liked or admired. Never fear to hurt another in a just cause. Of course, that all depends on what the word just means there and whether you truly are involved in a just cause. This is the one Scientologists use to rationalize or justify fair gaming people, you know, because, hey, I will not fear to hurt another in a just cause. The end justifies the means, in other words. So this is pretty much the nonsense that this code of honor adds up to. And those are the 2 codes I think I'll comment on for now that I think answer that question.